10 knockouts, 2 submissions, 6 decisions. Just how good is Darren Till? Darren Till is always the example I point to when I talk about the UFC rushing an undefeated prospect too fast. Darren's always been a lethal southpaw striker and a confident, lovable loudmouth. And while capable of having competitive fights with anyone, Till has always lacked this professional polish in my opinion. There's a level of maturity some fighters have, who deep down just know that they aren't ready for the top names just yet. Great example is Paddy Pimblett, believe it or not, who back in the day turned down the UFC's first offer and stayed with Cage Warriors until he knew he was ready. Smart move, and it's honestly paying dividends these days, all things considered. Darren Till, on the other hand, well, that's a different story. He went from unranked straight into a main event, then straight into a title fight, coming off a snoozer with Wonderboy. Till was fast-tracked into his title fight against Tyron Woodley, which in hindsight was way too big a step up and complete career suicide. What made matters incredibly worse was also his choice of bounce-back opponent, Jorge Masvidal, who survived his early storm and sent him into a mini coma via lighterman striking skill. This KO finish really opened my eyes to how dangerous this sport really is and how a career can change on a dime. But that's also why I love it. I love knowing all it takes is a split second for the sport to take a completely different direction, and how a career can be shaped by just one single performance. Anyways, shortly after these horrific losses, Till's physicality and mindset deteriorated massively. He went from lean and mean to sad and soggy, and tried a middleweight move, where he did have shockingly competitive fights with former champions Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis, but eventually asked to be released before being cut, which is a 200 IQ move on Till's part. He then started promoting Block Acid, which I won't get into too much, and tried his hand at entrepreneurial ventures instead of fighting. But present day, Till has surprisingly got back to incredible shape and is running through cannon fodder at influencer promotions Misfits Boxing. And it's actually proving to be a very smart career move from him to breathe new life into his career. As he's only 32 years old, it's nice to see him no longer overweight and swollen from alcohol and back to his former self. It allows him to sharpen his hands, face lower level opponents, and avoid putting any more blemishes on his pro MMA record, should he choose to ever return to the UFC. I don't advise it. And why would he, when instead he can make 5 times the money in these influencer promotions where zero grappling is involved? Till is riding high off a devastating KO over Luke Rockhold. Yes, in 2025. They are still happening. And watching Rockhold get knocked out is honestly like a drug for me at this point, so I have a newfound admiration for Darren Till as a competitor and as a human being. But if we're being real, I would pick Salt Poppy to KO Rockhold at this point. But this is probably where Darren should stay at the moment, because in the UFC middleweight division, there are so many nightmare-style matchups for him right now. He needs to avoid grapplers at all cost and just stick to striking matchups. He's spent too much time out the game, and I'm afraid the pro scene has completely passed him by. So I know Till's not an active UFC fighter, but he is talk of the town right now, so we're gonna get into it. But where do you think his career goes from here? Will we see him back in the UFC one day, or is he just not cut out for grappling and should stick to pure striking martial arts from here on out? Darren Till, a heavy-handed Muay Thai specialist hunting for the chin at all times. Striking accuracy, 47%, strikes landed per minute is 2.3. Till is low volume as the clock ticks by, but can flip a switch and become hyper-aggressive. These stats don't tell the full story. Strikes absorbed per minute is 3.3, takedown average 0.5, submission average 0, takedown accuracy 46%, strike defense 56%, takedown defense 70%. 70% seems good, right? But the problem isn't his hips or balance necessarily. He's defended plenty of takedowns from strikers. It's his complete lack of any submission defense once a grappler gets a hold of him. Knockdown average of 0.4, average fight time 13 minutes 36 seconds. Strengths: piston left hand, shot selection, and aggression. Till wins by guiding his foe into his straight left with feints and pressure. It's a highly fundamental Muay Thai / karate approach that he has used to great effect with heavy forward pressure. Weight bullying welterweights was peak Darren Till. Weaknesses: flat-footed, no head movement, no scrambles. Till is big, flat-footed, and can be clipped by good boxers. Till also has shown negative grappling IQ and zero ability at avoiding submissions. His initial sprawl is quite good, but once he's put down, There are no reversals to speak of, his scrambling is weak. When he was younger, he was also way too predictable, but these days, his combination work is much improved. Best performance, his chess match with Robert Whittaker. Darren Till was able to pressure into Rob quite well, but was kept at bay with counter shots, until landing a nasty counter of his own, an elbow right on Whittaker's chin. It's honestly kind of amazing how quickly Rob recovered from this and didn't seem to get buzzed by it at all, just fell down. Whittaker tallied up 35 leg kicks in this fight, and I do believe that was a big difference maker in the decision and definitely slowed Darren down. Thank God Rogan wasn't on commentary, he would have been salivating over the leg kicks. The fight is tit for tat, but Whittaker with a consistent speed advantage through all 5 rounds and the ability to shoot takedowns, none of which he got, but they were great mix-ups. Darren had one big moment other than the early knockdown, and that was a slicing elbow in round 5. Then after Rob started bleeding pretty profusely, Till did his best to go for a doctor stoppage win and provoked Herb Dean to call a timeout. But he kind of just looked at him like, nah, we have 30 seconds left in this fight, you can take this L. Most fun, his slop fest with Dricus du Plessis. Extremely entertaining fight. This first round was so retarded. Dricus comes out guns blazing and traps Till in the clinch and begins bludgeoning him. He caused heavy damage going for the finish, but definitely used too much energy. He also took Till down, secured the back, and tried to fish for an easy choke. But to Till's credit, he survived. He spun out of the body triangle and rained some hell down on the zesty DDP. But Darren Till couldn't just secure top position and strike, he just had to pull off one of the shittiest guillotines in recent UFC history. Oh well, he ended the round strong, but still got his ass whooped in the opening minute. Round 2, Darren comes out looking much fresher. The commentary can't help themselves but to talk shit about DDP's cardio problem, but I actually think they were correct here for once. But all it takes is for somebody to lunge at the lower half of Darren Till, and he hits the mat. Short time left in the round, Dricus goes for a nasty footlock that puts Till in a ton of pain. Where was this craftiness against Chimaev? All good. Round 3 starts, and what was a semi-competitive fight up until this point, Dricus goes for the most Neanderthal takedown imaginable and actually gets it. Even Mark Smith can't believe it. Full mount, then a neck crank, fight's over. Feel bad for Till because at the time this was pretty pathetic to watch, but Dricus would go on to become champion, so Darren can kind of get a pass for this one, but a loss is a loss. God, what a disgusting fun fight it was. Future matchups, Carl Froch, Mike Perry, the Paul brothers. Do I think Darren Till seriously returns to the UFC? He could, but that's not what's next. First, the long shot. Carl Froch was a WBC, WBA, and IBF champion back in his era. So if Till and Misfits could actually entice him into a fight when he is near 50 years old, that would be really something to watch. Do I think it happens? No, of course not. There's a reason these actual pro boxers want nothing to do with Misfits, because they understand it's just not in their best interest and will just taint their career. But after learning that Froch is a flat earther, I condone this and even encourage him to rise to the challenge. Book it up, 32, second prime Darren Till against near 50-year-old Carl Froch. Get it done, Misfits. Give him millions. Number 2, the smart play. Mike Perry and Darren Till have history and seemingly were ready to fight each other at a moment's notice in the UFC and outside of it, but it never actually got made by a promotion. They've sparred, and according to Till, he had a field day and pieced him up, and I tend to agree with that. You know, Perry has called him out for bare knuckle, which is a smart move on his end, but I think Till would starch him, gloves or no gloves. The only thing you really need to beat Mike Perry is stopping power, and that's never been an issue for Darren. He's big, he's dangerous. I think it's a fight he should be campaigning for because it's winnable and already has pre-existing build-up. Perry can fight bare knuckle well, but in big gloves, yeah, it's not happening. He lost to Jake Paul, for fuck's sake. Number 3, the big money option. Either of the Paul brothers would do here, but Jake Paul I could actually see stepping into the ring with Till because he will perceive him as a washed-up UFC athlete, so you never know, he may just accept it. The Paul brothers are businessmen who understand leverage and only really commit to fights where the money is right. Till is a very good talker, so would do great work promoting it, and I think that could be the key to actually getting the payday. But in the comments, let me know what you guys think. If I had to guess, it's Perry next. I feel I touched on both the UFC and boxing career of Darren Till. I'll always keep it real and speak the truth on his come up that he was definitely fast-tracked, propped up by the UFC because of his confidence, but just straight up didn't have the skills to win a belt or secure a spot amongst the elites. But these days, he's got his act cleaned up, he's in good shape, and he's back to making great TV again, so I won't do any complaining about it. Not every UFC fighter is here to stay. Some take off and do incredible things, or very stupid things, outside of the UFC. So for now, we'll keep the channel focused on relevant UFC fighters, but I just had to throw together a little Darren video for y'all, so hope you like it. As always, thank you guys for watching. Drop your favorite Darren Till moment down below. MMA makes no fucking sense, but I'm out here trying to put it all together. Until next time.